On September 20th, 2016, Bungie, the developers of Halo, Destiny, and of course the classic known as Abuse, released the annual expansion Rise of Iron. This included strikes, story missions, a brand new raid, and PvP crucible maps for players to shoot the loot they earned in other activities at other players. All was seemingly normal at first. The story was well received. The strikes were new and inventive. The raid was fantastic, and Crucible went about as you'd expect, getting called a pussy by a kid who's about to enter the 4th grade. All was normal for a Destiny 1 expansion, and everything seemed calm.
That's where we like you best.
Have they broken the code in last exit yet?
Certain code was secret and incredibly useful maps known as last exit.
There's a code in last exit.
This is the unsolved mystery of Destiny's last exit. Today, our sponsor is Displate, one of my favorite companies out there on the market right now. Displate is a very easy to set up process. All you got to do is start cleaning with the cleaning wipes and then stick the protective eco-friendly leaf to the wall. It's super easy to remove and super easy to place on there. Put a magnet on that leaf so it doesn't damage your walls if you need to take it down, and then simply put up the metal artwork on top. And the best part of all is that if you need to take it down and put another Displate up, it's as simple as pulling and pushing back on the wall. I think one of the coolest things that Displate does is they have a plant the tree initiative. So every time you guys buy a Displate, they actually plant a tree in a country in need. And the more Displates you guys buy, the more trees that they just keep planting. So know that your money that you spend on Displates do go to a good cause. And by clicking the link in the description, everything will be 30% off for the first week, and then it'll be 15% off for the rest of the time. So make sure you take advantage of the 30% code. Thank you so much to Displate for sponsoring me on this one. I absolutely love this company, and I'm super excited to work with them. Once again, discount code in the description or on screen right now. Thank you guys for watching this, and enjoy the rest of the video. It's important that you know why the jump for joy was so high and the ambition so strong. Bungie really has been no stranger to secrets in Destiny, with the first real and notable one being a part of the harder variant of a daily mission. If a player were to take a different route in the mission, they were thrown against some tremendously difficult enemies in a gauntlet version of an already present strike. But with the new race of enemies in the game taking the map's domain for themselves. If the player was to beat this mission in the 10-minute allotted timer, they received the Black Spindle, one of Destiny's most powerful exotic weapons. Rise of Iron was home to one of the largest video game secrets of all time only a year after the Black Spindle, the mystery of Wrath of the Machine raid, solved by a team of binary code experts and cartographers on September 28, 2016, led to the discovery of the Outbreak Prime exotic weapon quest hidden within the brand new raid. This was not a wild shock to the Destiny community the way Spindle was, because players were trained to know that something was always up Bungie's sleeve. But gaming communities were really looking at what Bungie was doing and taking note on how the studio was pushing the boundaries of video games forward.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I've always said that we could loan our community out to the government to help break codes, but you're probably happier playing video games, which is where we will leave you. That's where we like you best.
Have they broken video games? Have they broken the code in last exit yet?
What?
What? Nothing. Never. I've said too much. Anyway.
Is this really a thing?
What? Of course.
There's a code in last exit.
Sure.
a Bungie live stream begins and a code is revealed. The Destiny community gets to work cracking this one, bringing in all sorts of talent from those who have a background in breaking ciphers to the very same cartographers and binary experts from the Outbreak Prime puzzle, and of course some tinfoil hat conspirators. As you are aware by now, Destiny's sub-communities are relentless when it comes to solving puzzles the company creates. There's a fairly large chunk of these sub-communities that love to focus on busting every secret that may or may not exist in the game. With that being said, these sub-communities got to work. The first thing you need to know about the Last Exit Crucible map is that it's very much associated with subway tunnels and lighting, maps all around, this odd code on a panel that repeats itself. Normally, this can be given up to pure map and sound design, but this is Destiny in 2016 that we're talking about, the same game that had players constantly asking questions about their environment and giving reason to their assumptions. So everything was on the table. The motivation was also very clear to players looking. This was another chance at another DLC themed exotic weapon, this time maybe for PvP. If not an exotic weapon, then a quest to do with the Rise of Iron featured Venom named Siva, a futuristic take on Spider-Man's Venom with some great story added to it. A quest surely, an exotic possibly. Either way, Derek Mantis asking if players cracked the code meant work needed to get done. The first major lead while a Cypher team worked on the code was the subway tunnel map. This simple transit map led to the exploration of these subways. These train cars had motion sensors and lit up, while also giving sound cues to players that would step on it. You must understand that typically in games, and especially with Destiny, if the raids and strikes are any indication, if a player is given sound cues, lighting cues, and vectors leading them from one place to another, they are going to believe that there's something to it. So a wide amount of the community started taking routes, following the map's sequence, running it backwards in a certain order, multiple people at once, reflections off the train cars, etc. The main lead at the time was associating numbers with color to the signs within each train car. As Reddit user Hey It's Mus pointed out,
they either display Alpha Regio or blue, Beta Regio or red, or Ovda Regio, also known as green.
Musk goes on to describe a monitor with static right behind a flag on capture point A, as well as the transit maps, also right beside the A flag and monitor, with different numbers, colors, and routes. The key lists that green equals 48, yellow equals 38, blue equals 14, and red equals 271. These numbers seem like oddities, since, well, there's no way in hell there are that many lines for any of these paths. This community started to ask themselves, could these numbers be used for a different purpose, or was somebody just making them up for novelty map design? This just couldn't be the case unless Bungie was that far ahead. This map of the Ishtar Collective Transit System was first featured in the vanilla Destiny Crucible map, Asylum. This also hosted a different code centered above the 4 transit maps and was the first known time that these transit maps were used. No differences to be found, but there was a whole different code. Similar, but not identical codes to the Last Exit code can also be found on Mars in the train station and Memento displayed on the front panel of a rundown bus. The monitor was the next in question, and before anyone writes this off, you must look again at the context of that year. Monitors were, after all, at the forefront of the Outbreak Prime puzzle, and the Siva logo was prevalent on monitors as commonplace for this expansion. The community collectively began to think that the monitor would come to life if the puzzle was to be solved. Too far of a stretch, or not far enough? On the other side, a team of codebreakers organized to focus on what Derek said directly.
Have they broken the code in last exit yet?
This sequence, the seemingly random configuration of numbers, letters, and symbols, was now the central focus of an all-out hunt for answers.
So this is the answer.
The first ideas were to run this sequence into a Caesar cipher decoder. This would be the answer to Memento's bus code and the Mars code, as well as the Asylum code too, but Last Exit was not so fortunate here. After these sub-communities had been working on every type of cipher in the book to crack the code, their hunt would come to an anticlimactic ending. Derek Carroll put out a tweet that the mystery of the Last Exit was not a quest, but just an Easter egg. To say the hunt for anything was over would be a drastic understatement. The monitor idea was scrapped, the cartographer team disbanded, and all that was left was a few cipher code breakers interested to know what this code meant. The trail went cold for years. This was the last major trial and error that I was able to find related to the Last Exit code from Reddit user Gino Gunn, with some clever thinking to the cipher itself.
It looks like an ROT shift, but running it in loop doesn't give anything of substance. With all previous facts given, the code is limited to itself. There is no key as far as I know. It is a cipher on its own, i.e. nothing related to the objects on the map. So, why no key? Well, there might be a key, but then it's inside the cipher itself. I don't think it's complicated. I think it's the opposite. It's simple. It's too simple. The message isn't encrypted behind multiple layers. It's instead made up with clever thinking. So my idea is that it only takes one decryption of some sorts to either hint to the next clue on how to solve it, or solve it right then and there. It should be noted that the cipher only uses lowercase letters. To me, this is valuable information, which leads me to believe it's simply not a ROT cipher in the first place, since not many encryption methods use more than A to Z, lowercase a to Z, or 0 to 9. But it bugs me that running it through anything handling symbols gives nothing.
Gunn would try every kind of cipher in the book with little to no results. Nothing was working, and Gunn tried many different keys to scratch out a result to no avail. He tried anything from a simple Caesar cipher to hex to binary to ASC2 tables, ROT47 shifts, and more. Gunn tried just about everything in hopes to find a key to this cipher, but as we all know, without a key, you can't open a door, and no amount of brute force was going to allow this to happen either. The last update on this thread was on November 18th of 2018, with Gunn trying to reach out to Derek Carroll with the hopes of a follow-up to come. But nothing was on the other side, and Carroll wouldn't crack. While writing this video, I even tried to reach out to Mr. Carroll, and he simply hit me with this message. I spent way longer with the Last Exit code than I ever thought that I would. When originally writing this video, I had no clue how far this rabbit hole would go and how many surrounding Easter eggs there were. Destiny is a game that works with serious attention to detail on mystery and Easter eggs. Bungie has always held that reputation very well, no matter what you may think of the franchise. Its community is even more willing to find the developers' secrets than Bungie is willing to provide them with those secrets. Sometimes the community goes to lengths to find something that may not even exist. In my opinion, and after many hours of research, Last Exit's code is more than likely some developer names like the other maps and areas found before, or a nice message left there from Derek himself. Or it could just be nothing, and Derek Carroll was trying to get a goose chase going for laughs. I mean, his tone when talking about the code was kind of a sarcastic one after all, and this stream did take place right after the Outbreak Prime puzzle too, giving good evidence for a well-timed joke. Derek Carroll, if you are listening to this video, I want you to know that you did well with this one, and it may be the only known Destiny puzzle to never be solved. I also gotta give it up to these sub-communities within this game. I mean, you can't blame the game's community for looking further. You never know what the final answer truly could be. I would like to thank you for making it to this part of the video. This is a new type for me, and one that I want to pursue for more mysterious videos going forward. I also am thinking of starting a Patreon so I can let my editor out of his basement. But what do you think? The next time I see you guys, I hope this one gets solved.